Hello and welcome to C++ Lecturer 1. My name is Junior and today I'll be teaching you on how to program in C++. Alright, here we go. As you can see on my notepad here, I tried my best to organize topic 1, topic 2 and topic 3, and then yes, there we go. My first topic today is data types or data types, so called by others. Yes, and then in C++, all that we need to learn first, because C++ is a programming language, so a programming language, it has all its functions and properties, and then that we need to first learn so that we can be able to use the language. So here I divided the topics for our first lecturers, and then the first topic being data types. So let's go into data types and then have a little explanation, and then you can see what are the data types. Maybe you're familiar with this part, but then I just thought, since this is the first lecturer, I should include the topic of data type without wasting any time. Alright, my first data type is integers. Some even know what is integer from mathematical perspective. Yes. And then in C++, integers, when you're coding, when you're programming, you're writing it as the syntax is int. Just write the word int. When you're programming in any compiler that you'll be using, you have to just write int for integers. It denotes integer, int. And then I had an explanation here. Okay, so I have an explanation here for you guys, and then let's just go ahead and read it. Integers are numbers without precision. What do I mean? Here I mean integers are numbers without, normally I might say in a lower content to say numbers without commas. Numbers without commas, like for example 1, then you have 2, have 3, have 4, have 20. As long as your number does not have comma, like for instance let's say 1.5 or 2 point something, then that's an integer. So numbers without commas, guys, take a note. Alright, the second one here is a floating point numbers, written as float. The syntax when you're programming, you write float. If I write it like this in any compiler that you'll be using, you write float. And then my explanation here a little bit here. Alright, floating point numbers are numbers with precisions. Actually is more or less opposite to the integer. If you can look, I mean, integers are numbers without precision and these are numbers with precision. So should I say opposite, or should I say a little bit extending from integers? Then as you can see, numbers with precision, you might have maybe 1.5, 2.2, 3.99, and then just to name few, just to bring the idea of numbers with precision, numbers with commas. Alright, then the third one are characters. What are characters? Characters normally are just our alphabet, guys. Alphabets. Don't get confused here. Characters are alphabet, and then the syntax is written as car. When it's car or char, some they say car or char. So yeah, in any compiler that you'll be using, this is the syntax car. And then a little bit explanation here. Just said alphabet or letters, e.g. then you might write A, but then please do note the colon, the single colon that I use here, upper colon that I use here on the data for character. We might have the A's in lowercase, but then do mind these two things. Please do mind them, because they're the ones that actually tells us that this is a character denoted by a single quotation. You place single quotation between the character. This is how you'll be writing to specify the data inside a character. Alright, then you might have A in lowercase and A in uppercase, B, just any, as long as it's a single character, simple as the characters. So yeah, Then the third one is string, written as string. You just write it as string, but then in lowercase. You don't write capital, you write in lowercase. The S has to be in lowercase. Most of the time people confuse it then by writing the first S in uppercase, which is going to give you syntax error. So always you write it as string in lowercase. And then a little bit explanation. String can be thought of as group of characters, e.g. here I have my name here, Junior. So as you can see, Junior is between the two quotations, which are each is having 2 on top. So that's where you can differentiate between a string and a character. These two things you can differentiate between a string and a character. Character has a single both sides, but then string has 2 each side. So this is a string character. String character Junior, like for my name. Yes, might have school, for example, might think of any, as long as you always place this thing for a string character, always place these things. This is how it has been like. So we just follow what has been directed to us to follow. So yes, this is how it should be for a string. And then the fifth data type that we have is a double, written as double. The same, just write it as double, but then in lowercase, everything in lowercase. And then double actually is a data type that accommodates both integers and floating point, but then it accommodates like huge values, huge amount. When you're doing calculation, maybe using huge digits, many digits, like maybe let's say you're counting money, you might count thousands and then thousands and then years. That's the data type for you to use. And then here my explanation says numbers with or without, numbers with or without precisions. Please do cut out these numbers with or without precision. Sorry about that. Numbers with or without precisions, then means it includes integers and floating point, right? But then double, the only difference is the size of memory allocation for double is not the same. Remember, all these data types actually they vary in terms of size of memory allocation. So double actually has a greater memory to many data types here. So it accommodates huge amounts of values. Here I accommodate huge amount of value. Like here on my example, as I was giving examples, I gave like 200. I think maybe you can see the difference between these 200 and the digits, actually the data that I have for integers and that I have for floating points. So just to show that actually double accommodate bigger values. All right, then that's the topic 1 for data type. We're having too many data types and then in various programming languages. Then for me, I just thought this would be good enough for us to proceed in programming, because actually this is for beginner. So I thought these 5 would be good enough to carry us through the lecture of programming, C++ lecture 1. So yes, then now the topic, we go to topic 2. Now we'll be talking about variables. One may ask, what are variables? And then I have a little explanation here. You can go and do research what are variables in any programming language. They will explain in different contexts, but then they will always define one thing. They will always have that similarity, because in programming we all know what are variables. No matter how fancy I may place it, it will always do the same task as the other, being defined in different ways. So here I place an asterisk to show that this actually is very important, right? All right, variable can be thought of as names to specify our storage reference or data location in a computer memory. So you can go through this again and then you'll get an idea. Can be thought of as names to specify our storage reference. Storage reference, like our variable are storage reference. Variable names are storage reference. It then means you'll be creating a storage in your computer memory, and then you'll give it a certain title you'll name that variable, you'll give it a name. That variable, you give it a name, you'll give it a name. So that name will be used as a reference. Like, let's say if you have a variable, maybe here, let me go on. Okay, that's the next topic actually. Yes, that's the next topic. Let me not go there, and then you see on the next topic, which topic 3 on variable declaration. So the storage reference, just know this is a storage reference or data location in a memory. It specifies data location in a memory. Yes. So the second part of it, they carry a property of the data type to specify the type of data it will be stored in it. Alright, it carry the property of the data type. Now the data type, when I say data type, you go on top, you roll the first topic, what are data type. So it carries the property of the data type to specify the type of data that will be stored inside that variable, inside that storage reference. So that storage reference, it will always have the data type property. Alright, so now let's go to topic 3 without wasting any time, because I can see now my 10 minutes is running out. Oh god. Alright, now let's go to topic 3. We have variable declaration. So now let's declare, since we know what are variables, we actually partially know what are variables, then now we can, let's go to the topic of variable declaration. Maybe now here you'll actually have an idea of what are variable. Maybe here what I have here for you guys on variable was not good enough, but then now here on topic 3 you'll know, and then it'll be good enough for you to know what are variable declaration. All right, the first one. All right, declaration. There are two types of declaration: declaration without initialization and declaration with initialization. Some of you guys know what this means, initialization and without initialization. But then don't worry, don't run away, don't skip this lesson, just be there with me, and then even if you don't understand, I won't go much deep into initialization stuff, but you'll get to see what is an initialization and understand it as much as we'll be quoting on the other lessons. Okay, so I gave you here for declaration without initialization and declaration with initialization. So some of you are smart enough to just see the difference. You can see, let me scroll for you, you can see the difference without declaration, variable declaration without initialization. Right now I have an int numbers, right, and I have float, money, car, gender, string name, double credit, right? So let me just explain one. If I can explain one part by part, you'll be able to even analyze the others on your own. All right, remember here I said variable can be thought of named to specify our storage reference. So looking here for instance on int numbers, this name here, numbers, this numbers is our storage reference, is the one that specifies the data location in our memory, right? This numbers is the one that specifies the location in a memory, the location of a data, of a certain data, right? So now to this part of int, remember on the second part of topic 2, I said they carry a property of the data type to specify the type of data it will be stored in. So now this is that property that I was referring to. So this storage reference, which named numbers, it has the property to store what kind of data? Integers. Now you're with me, more like a teacher now. All right, then I suppose, and then now because this is we said this is a declaration. Remember, declaration is more like when you declare something in a normal and a proper English. When you declare something, it's like you are now creating something that something has to be aware of. Like I declare this, then it then means now you're placing something into something that maybe might use it or might not use it. You're just creating something. So this declaration is a creation of actually here declaration, we are creating variables, right? Creation of variables. So I say for instance here int numbers mean integer numbers. The data type, the property is integer, and then now the name, the reference name is what? meaning the storage reference, not a reference, a storage reference is numbers. So that's what we have created here. And then look at the idea here is that we only created it, but then now since this is a storage reference, and then we said this is under declaration without initialization. As you can see, after that name we have a terminator, a colon there. Now we have used a colon, and then we have statement terminator. In C++, we call this this colon a statement terminator. It then means we are done with the statement. We are done with this statement on this line, like on this line. If you see this colon terminator, it then means we have finished with our statement, then we closed. It then means here we have just created a variable, and then that's it, nothing more. All right, then same as the others. So I just declare all of them here with different data types so that you can see how they all look like. So now let's go to the part 2, declaration with initialization. So now you'll get, sooner or later you'll see the idea of initialization and without initialization. So the very same variables, but then now as you can see the difference. Remember, this is a property of the data type that will be stored inside the reference name, storage name, which is numbers. And then now here there is this assignment operator. This is not equal sign. Remember, we are not in mathematics, right? So if we were in mathematics, let me just comment here, if we were in programming, when normally in mathematics, the equal sign is written as, we know is written as, let me just create is written as this. But in C++, all right, I just want you guys to see is given as, so in C++, this is how it is. This is how it is for equality. For equality, guys. So don't make mistake. Note that, right? Note that. So all right, let me just read again. Okay, in C++ is given as, all right, in mathematics equal sign, this is equal sign, and then but in C++, oh my god, equal sign in mathematics, you'll know that in mathematics is given, but in C++ is given as the double signs, right? So here this is called, let me just comment below here, this is called, okay, let me write it here. Oh my god, what's happening? Sorry. Denotes assignment operator, right? This is an assignment operator. It then means you're going to assign a certain data to a certain storage, right? We store a certain data in a certain storage of a certain type, right? The data must correspond to the type that has been defined. So here we have an integer, so we say int numbers, right? And then we say numbers is assigned to 20, and then we terminate. Remember this terminate, this semicolon here, we terminate. So it then means we have created a variable called numbers, which is this just a storage reference numbers, and then going to accept the data type of integer. And then yes, this is an integer, 20 is an integer, number without precision, isn't it? Then here we go. And then now it then means in our reference storage, now here storage named numbers, if we call on a computer, we call these numbers, it then means the data inside numbers will be displayed, which is 20. It then means now we have stored something actually, unlike here on declaration without initialization, we have not stored anything. That means there is garbage data in there, right? Or we might find a memory address only, garbage data. But then here we have assigned something to our variable. So that's what is called variable declaration. So, and remember, the data that you assign to a certain variable must correspond to the data that is expected to be stored inside that location, that variable. Remember, simply by looking at the data type of that variable. Just like here on character, you see the data type that I have here is M in single quotation. So it then means M is a fit character. You cannot take a string data and try to store inside character, or take a character trying to store in string, or any other try to swap them, because you will get obviously a syntax error. But on other variables you might not get syntax error, but the logic error. Like for instance, if I'm expecting to store this 2.5, maybe let's just say maybe if you're talking about money, let's say $2.5 or 2.5 rands in South Africa, it then means now if I were to store it inside an integer, because integer, remember, it stores only data without precision, the computer will cut off this 50, either it's 50 rand or 50 any, it will cut off this 50, and then in the memory then means you're going to have what? Only 2. It then means now the logic is not right. Maybe if you're calculating money, someone's earning, then it then means you're going to rob them then. So you see, guys, it's always good to know that kind of data that is stored in a certain variable by looking at the data type, right, that defines that variable. Alright guys, that is it for today. I suppose this will be very educational. Yes, and thank you guys, and please guys, spread the word. And then yeah, if you find this video educational, please don't forget to subscribe down there. Just go down there and click like or subscribe. Alright, and subscribe. Alright, this is it. Thank you guys. Cheers.